Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Inter Worldwide. As we all know, Inter have been quite busy in the transfer market as of late, trying to solidify the squad for Antonio Conte in order for him to be able to make a Scudetto push, hopefully, this season. So, the first player who's about to be announced is Alexander Kolarov from Roma. And I believe that by the time this video comes out, he's most likely going to be announced. He's going to be coming in a deal worth 1.5 million as a transfer fee. And so, yeah, we're going to be discussing his profile a bit for today. So, everybody knows Kolarov from his days at Man City as a left back and from the time he came to Roma. He is very good going forward. Now, this season, he's been having a bit of a sort of a revelation, almost being able to play as one of the players in a as a center back, and he has been positioned at the left-sided center back a couple of times this season. So that being said, we're gonna be discussing his profile a bit and what he can offer to the team. So, for starters, I believe that, as well as pretty much everyone by now, that he is going to be positioned, or he's going to be the substitute for Bastoni, or at least the rotation for Bastoni. Now, of course, this raises a lot of questions, given, of course, how we all know Conte and how he likes to play with experienced players. So how that is going to affect Bastoni, even though Bastoni has shown for an entire season that he can carry that position and he can be quite good. So we start off by discussing his pros. So some of the good things about Alexander Kolarov. Now we all know that he has this godlike of a left foot, which just seems to find the back of the net whenever. It's very uh, Messi-esque almost. So, that being said, that means that Inter now have a set piece specialist. As we all know, I don't think Inter has scored from a free kick position in so long. And corners as well. Yes, there was that Milan game. And yes, there were a bunch of other games where we scored around 52 headers per season, I think. But I don't think that that has been solely from set pieces. I think Inter is very weak from set pieces. And having this guy on board is definitely going to help improve that. That being said, of course, that would probably mean that he's going to be taking the place of Bastoni, which is something that we really don't want. Another point that we would also like to point out is that Godin has been rumored to be on his way to Rennes or Renault. I can't really pronounce the name, it's in French. But he's on his way there, and on the other hand, we've got Skriniar, who has not yet cemented himself under Antonio Conte. So that right-sided defender spot is actually going to be empty. So might we see maybe Kolarov taking the left spot and Bastoni the right, or maybe Kolarov being put in the middle and Bastoni, De Vrij going to the right? That of course would be the worst out of all the options, given that he wasn't that good, Kolarov, when playing in the middle. So, offensively, we're talking about a player who in the league was able to record 7 goals and 3 assists, with an average of shots per game of 2.3 shots per game, 1.8 key passes per game. These numbers, in my opinion, as a center back, as a defensive players, they're very, very, very good to be able to dish out almost 2 key passes per game from that center back position is going to give the team an extra depth. Also, we've all seen how Antonio Conte now pushes his center backs forward. The two wide center backs they push forward during the attacking phase to give the team a bit more solidity and a bit more. Just overall improving the team in the attacking phase. That could mean that given Kolarov's ability on the ball, if he can get on the ball in those dangerous areas, he can definitely deliver a cross in or something that is that's gonna help the team. So, he's not, of course, the greatest of dribblers, only zero point 0.6 dribbles per game. And so that really gives you a decent sort of opinion on what he can provide to the team. And of course, we all know that. But given that it's going to be from the center back position, in my opinion, it's definitely going to add another element to our attack, because you could see it sometimes. Bastonia would go up, and so would um, Godin, but they wouldn't really offer that much going forward, and not because of anything really, but because they're defenders, they're center backs, and that's not how they like to ply their trade. On the other hand, someone like Kolarov, he's used to going up forward, so that might be helpful. In addition, when we talk about his defensive contribution to the team, unfortunately, he's not a player who gets stuck in. He's not the best tackler out there. Certainly not better than any of the options we have in terms of Godin, Bastoni, De Vrij, and Skriniar. That being said, he puts in 1.2 tackles per game with one interception, and 1.6 clearances. That is in terms of the defensive phase per game. So these are not stellar numbers in my opinion, but at the very least, they're good enough. If he's gonna be covered by more experienced, more better players in defense, I think having someone like De Vrij is miles ahead than having someone like Smalling, and I think that that's gonna definitely help him out. But that being said, yeah, he's not really the best defender out there. In terms of chance creation, he's registered 3 assists this season. Like we've said, he makes an average of 1.8 key passes per game. Again, I said this: if this is coming from the center back spot, definitely adds a lot of like diversity, and it adds another dimension to the attack. It makes the team much more unpredictable. And he averages around 45 passes per game. If we can just manage to get like half of those, maybe 25 passes, um, progressive passes, passes going forward, not going back, definitely helps the team. He also puts in around 1.7 crosses per game. I would expect to see that number drop greatly because, as I've said, he's going to be in the center back position. He's not going to be the player to run on the wing up and down. And I don't see him overtaking Ashley Young at all. So I believe that number, the crosses, are most likely gonna drop, unless of course something happens. So as a final verdict on Alexander Kolarov, um, he's a good player. He comes to cover an area where we need depth. He has a lot of the qualities that you would need in these positions. But my opinion with that is that Conte is not going to be here forever. He's not a long-term manager, even though I respect him and I appreciate everything he's done so far for the club. That one season he has changed the club. Finally, we are starting to play good football in general. But buying someone like Vidal, buying someone like Kolarov, buying someone like Conte, and then selling someone like Ericsson. That's, in my opinion, that's not going to be a viable team for whoever comes next to work with. That being said, of course, always trust in the club, always trust in the management. They, for the past 5 or 6 years, have been doing a great job, and I trust them to really get us through another season. So, yep, that's that. Thank you very much for tuning in, and Forza Inter.